Jacksdale War Memorial stands practically in the centre of the village and was dedicated to the men who died in the First World War. The front marble slab is inscribed with the names of all the local men who sacrificed their lives, and the three other sides, also mounted with marble, display a roll of honour of all those who served. The memorial was unveiled on Saturday the 9th of July 1921, and this old photograph shows the ceremony in all its glory. The service opened with the hymn "Fight the Good Fight," and after the unveiling the last post was sounded. During the final hymn, "Abide with Me," friends and relatives laid their wreaths and tributes at the base of the memorial. This view shows the statue of the soldier who proudly stood on top and watched over the village for over 38 years. From this angle we can see that the soldier is looking slightly downline to the vicinity of Jacksdale railway station, which has now sadly disappeared. The memorial was originally about 15 feet high and cost £440 to erect. Unfortunately, the soldier is no longer standing. During one very windy night in 1959, he was blown off his pedestal. I can remember seeing all the broken pieces in the road that following morning. The statue was never replaced, and the top was later rebuilt with these rather plain pyramidal top copings that we see today. Jacksdale has grown into a busy little village with a good selection of small shops and facilities. The medical centre is a more recent asset. Originally, Jacksdale was part of the common land of Selston Common, and after the Enclosure Act of 1877, the lords of the manors put plots of land up for sale, and people were able to purchase land and build their own houses, Sedgwick Street being the site of some of the first. The arrival of the Great Northern Railway in August 1875 and the opening of James Oakes Colliery roughly about the same time encouraged more people to settle in the area. Dixie Street, named after a certain Earl Dixie, was one of the next to be built. Albert Avenue, Edward, York Avenue were built a little later, around 1902. Franklin and Laverick Road were also built at the same time. Jacksdale Temporary School opened on the 7th of January 1907, with Mr. Stringfellow as head teacher, and exactly a year later the permanent Selston Jacksdale Council School opened, with provision for 250 pupils, plus 100 infants in the temporary building. Jacksdale is situated in what used to be a particularly industrialised part of the Erewash Valley. A reminder of that industry is Jessop's monument towering over Codner Park, a memorial built in 1858 by public subscription as a monument to William Jessop II, son of the founder of the Butterley Company Works. The Midland Railway line in the distance opened in 1845 and was originally a two-track system, terminating at Pingston. 20 years later, the lines were extended from Pyre Bridge to Clay Cross, making a through route from Nottingham to Sheffield. And of course, if it's history we're talking about, we mustn't forget the ruins of Codner Castle, hiding in the clump of trees on the skyline. Back to the photographs again, and here's Jacksdale's main road in 1914. The old gas lamp post on the right would be situated somewhere near where the chemist is today. This old wooden shop stood where the medical centre is now and belonged to Sharplin's newsagents. They also had this other shop on King William Street at Ironville. Here's another early 1900s photo and shows the old picture palace on Selston Road. Just a little further on from the picture palace was another old wooden building, and here we see Billy Beebe, who ran a barber's shop here with his brother Joe. They were a friendly pair of characters, and I can remember they used to charge 9p for children's haircuts, and I think it was a shilling for grown-ups. They also used to recharge the accumulator batteries for the old radio sets. And come to think of it, they used to recharge everyone who went in there with all the local news and gossip. Early 1900s again, and this time showing the Miners' Welfare Institute and Primary School to the right. It looks as if the roads were almost empty in those days. If you look on the corner of the social club, you'll see this sign, and Jacksdale Street was the very first street to be built in the village. Only this narrow path and fencing marks the line where 13 stone cottages used to be. They were built in the early days by the Butterley Company and were known locally as Stone Row. These colour slides I took in March 1967 show the roofs having been removed prior to its demolition. It has been said that the stone used to build the cottages came from the ruins of Codnor Castle. This is what Stone Row looked like in 1963. There's a sad poem dating back to 1916 about a young girl, Fanny Fletcher, who was run over and killed by trucks in the forge works. It's rather a long poem, but I'd like to read a few lines of it.